needs to go. He's got to get sacked. He's phoning it in. He doesn't have a clue. And it's really just holding everything up. It's just delaying the whole process. So he's got to go, as far as I'm concerned. I think it was, It was 2 or 3 minutes to half time the day, and I can't even remember the Kilmarnock player's name, but he fouls. It looks like he's fouled Diamandi just outside our box, but the referee doesn't blow for the foul, and the Kilmarnock player carries on through, and the Rangers defence is kind of half stopped, but also knows you've got to kind of watch these things as well. So we kind of go to him. Jack Butler makes a kind of point blank save, but the fella who's having the shot isn't really convinced because he kind of knows that he's fouled Diamandi. But the ball's bouncing about still, so he has another go and he shoots it over the bar for really close in. Quite a bad miss. And the referee blows a whistle, but we all know by the sound, the way he's blowing the whistle, you can just tell it's for the foul. He's blowing it back for the foul on Diamandi at the edge of the box. He's no blowing for a by kick to Rangers, and yet Crocker says, don't really know why the referee's not blowing for that foul earlier. Don't really know why you let that play on. You don't? You don't? Is this the new version of the thing where, for years I've had to sit there in the main stand and just keep my mouth shut as thousands of Rangers fans jump up every time a player goes through on goal for us when he's clearly offside, but it's a ball's been knocked over from behind the opposition's defensive line, and he goes into the space, and there's no flag goes up, and then eventually he touches the ball. He takes the first touch of the ball after it's been played through. Linesman's flag goes up, referee blows. Oh, it took him so long. It's like that protocol, that rule, whatever it is, changed years ago. And folk are still going mental about that. So this is what Sky was pushing. Sky was amongst all the media, all the hacks, just dialing it in, just phoning it in. Controversy, get yourself some viewers, get yourself some figures there by going on and on about how we need VAR. How can we have all these 255 cameras at a game and we can see that guy's offside, but the referee can't? It's unfair. We need to bring technology into football. And you thought that was actually about bringing technology into football. It wasn't. It was about controversy. It was about everybody being upset. And if everybody's upset, it seems somehow dynamic, and therefore it keeps the viewing figures. It's good copy for the media types, the hacks. So you got all that, and then we get the VAR in, and they've just reversed it now. It's just every time anything goes wrong, any kind of decision is VAR, and that again the day was boring. That was seriously boring. So I can't. It's really tempting to do it, but he knows. Crocker must, and if he doesn't know why the referee didn't blow the Eberici Eze of Crystal Palace, a wee London derby, first weekend of this season's English Premier League. Crystal Palace are away to Brentford. That free kick that Eze put straight in that the referee's blown for a foul because he's watching all the players at the edge of the box jockeying, thinking as the goalie did, as the Brentford goalie did, that the ball was going to get floated into the box for somebody to get their head on it. So he's watching the players jockeying. It blows straight away when I don't think it was a foul either. He thinks he sees a Crystal Palace player fouling a Brentford defender at the edge of the box, but as he blows the whistle a nanosecond before the ball that Eze's decided to fire straight into the net, crosses the line to go into the net. Crocker should be doing just the basics. You should know that referee apologised to Eze in the dressing room afterwards, saying, "I shouldn't have got it because he blew the whistle so quickly. VAR couldn't interfere. VAR couldn't get involved. So that's why the referee didn't blow the day in case it wasn't a foul on Diamandi, and the Kilmarnock player would have been within his rights to score the goal. They had to let it play out unless the Kilmarnock player had taken a shotgun out and blown Diamandi's head off. That referee was going to let that play out, and that would be the scenario. It should be the scenario for that kind of scenario will play out like that and should play out like that. Don't make it you don't know. If you don't know why the referee's doing that, leave. You're supposed to retire ages ago, Crocker. Get rid of him. Get Crocker must go. That's what I'm saying. Crocker must. That's the headline today. That's boring. My name's Alec, and I'm a boreaholic. Hello, hi. It's been 48 hours since my last bore. Well, maybe that there 2 seconds ago was boring to you as well. But I need to testify. That the first time that I realised that boredom was going to be a thing in my life, me being boring, was when I worked in that bottle factory during the summer, 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night, just to make money during the summer for the further education, the woodwork classes I was doing. just get, it's big pallets of bottles. It was like Grant's whiskey bottles, Grant's vodka bottles, John Barr. This place made the bottles for all the places that did the spirits, the other whiskies and what have you. They were empty bottles, these huge pallets of empty bottles that just been like, you could smell, they'd still warm sometimes. They've just been made in the factory, and you would just have to stand there all day, hours on end, 12, 14, picking up these bottles, looking for cracks in them. Looking for cracks. Well, the naked eye, that was, they did have the machinery that could detect cracks in the bottles. You had to double check, you had to check them. The naked eye, a great summer job for an idiot like me. But it was my mum, I was still staying at mum and dad's, and my dad and my sister are sitting, and they're asking me about what is it you actually do in this place? And I started explaining to them. And there was different types of cracks that you were more likely to find on different types of bottles. Let's see, if I can't remember now, but maybe the neck of a grouse, 70 ouncer would have was a spider crack or something like that, doing the seam where the glass is joined. You more likely to get a crack there. Or they bought me a Grant's vodka bottle that they kind of the bottom bit that goes on to make the bottom of the bottle. You would get a cobweb crack or something. They had these names, and certain types of cracks would afflict certain types of bottles more than others. And my sister went, and what other cracks could perhaps affect, for example, a beer bottle? Would that be? And I thought, you're taking the piss. I've gone on about this too much. I find everything interesting. That's the thing about a boar. A boar finds everything interesting. There's my sister, my father sitting tittering away, going, what other kind of bottles? Because you could see I was in the zone. I was, they were just laughing at how boring I could be about empty bottles. You know what I mean? But the thing about being a boar is our life's actually fantastic. Now, there might be a deep lying problem there. We're so fundamentally bored or so fundamentally scared of life or something that we find everything really interesting, but we find things that you don't find interesting really, really interesting. So although when I'm sitting going 56, Real Madrid 57, Real Madrid 58, Real Madrid 59, Real Madrid 60, Real Madrid 61, Benfica 62, Benfica 63, Milan, you think I'm just reciting the names of all the winners of the European Cup, by rote in order. And I can do that for all the European trophies. But that's the thing, I've got all that in my head. As I'm reciting that, I'm seeing Puskas slapping that one in for a tight angle that he puts into top corner and stands there with his arms up and down in front of 127,621 at Hampden on the 18th of May 1960. It was a Tomlinson tea that was made in that place in Partick that's now flats, but it was sold in the sports shop. Was it Robertson's sports shop in Dumbarton Road that sold them at the time? Ball scored the only time he's ever scored 4 goals in a European Cup final was no more than 17 minutes between either of the goals. Any of the goals, there's 10 goals in total scored in that game, and the BBC cameras actually broke down. So they don't have the full recording. You see that Sherry Lungi, I think Sherry Lungi played the Manageress, and she starts off, and they're obviously a really painful part of trying to make her talk. See, when they make people, when they do that thing with scarves, with football scarves, that's how they ruin dramas about football. Football is drama, so you can't make dramas about football. You really need to do something really different. But the biggest mistake they always make in any any films or any fiction about football is everybody's got pristine scarves. Everybody's got brand new scarves, usually with the same pattern. That's not what it's like at the football. Half the boys don't have scarves because they're not looking for trouble, the old casual thing and that. That's how that kind of, trickle down affected general football fashion, or the fashions that people wear at football, the need to wear colours. Or folk are wearing scarves are covered in patches, are covered in back, they're manky, some of them are kind of bar. That's a mistake they make. The one thing, the same thing with Cherry Lungi and the Manageress. Let's make her sound like a football fan. So, I know that guy, he's a great guy, she says. Was it something about this guy she was talking about? And the great thing about him is he's got all 90 minutes of Real Madrid against Eintracht. Nobody's got all 90 minutes of Real Madrid against Eintracht. It's on video, he's got it. He hasn't. Because I've got the official BBC video, and it tells you at the beginning, actually the cameras broke down during this game, so there's only been like 87, 89 minutes, whatever it was recorded. But it's amazing that the bit they didn't record, didn't miss a goal, because there was so many goals. 10 goals scored in that game. Puskas and Di Stefano only guys. This is the stuff I'm seeing, the floodlit glory of European football, the glamour of it. I'm seeing that, but you're just hearing me going, 56 Real Madrid, 57 Real Madrid, 58 Real Madrid. Puskas scored 4 goals, and he's the only guy to score 4 goals in the European Cup final. There's only been 4 hat-tricks scored in the history of the European Cup/Champions League final, and 2 of them were scored at Hampden that day. Di Stefano getting the other, quite amazing. You're just seeing that and being really bored, but to me, it's really interesting. The problem there is I can find today's game interesting. There is things in that I could find interesting, but at the point of these videos where I try to get rid of Celtic fans, I try to get rid of Celtic fans by being boring. So I'll tell you, it's 48 hours since I had my last kind of threatening my marriage type levels of boredom. We're in Dundee. I know Dundee. In fact, I can go to Dundee on holiday. We went to Dundee on holiday for 3 days. That's because the boredom thing, being a bore. Dundee's the most interesting place in the world to me. You might think, why you got to Dundee? I bumped into William, lovely Philip William, Rangers fan, Blue Nose, stopped us just outside the hotel, and he's like, "You're Alexander, you're the fella for the, you and Colin do the Jersnet stuff." And aye, mate, aye, and he's chatting away, isn't it? And he's gone, "What you doing here?" And I was like, he's like, "What, you're on holiday in Dundee?" And he stays in Dundee, and he's laughing at me. And I'm saying, well, that's that. I'd been in Dundee once before. I've not been in Dundee for the fit since 2008, because 2012 broke my heart and just stopped my love of Scottish football in general. I just circled the wagons ever since, and it's no a nice thing. I'm not proud of it. It's just something that happened. Something just snapped. I don't mean I snapped. I meant just mean something just snapped. Something just broke, and it's, I would love to get it back one day, but I used to love Dens Park, and Tannadice was just this 8 floodlighted, almost ground share scenario, but with 2 different stadiums. And it's the Sandeman Street, Tannadice Street, that bit where they hit each other, that whole. I loved it. I thought it was absolutely. Because I'm from Ardrossan, where we had those kind of tenements in Ardrossan. And when I was still staying in Ardrossan, you got there, I just found the allotments and the kind of industrial parts. It's football. It was absolutely an amazing thing. And then Tannadice was really happening place as well, because Dundee United were Walter Smith as assistant manager at the peak of their powers when I first started going to away games in the early to mid-80s. But anyway, I'd no been to Dundee. At that point in time, I'd never actually been down the hill and going into Dundee city centre. Never. Maybe a couple of times to get a train, back to and from the game. But I'd never dotted about Dundee at all. And then staying, renting a property, selling one property, moving into another one. A few years ago, back before COVID, and the guy would come in and do the inspection. You're renting, they come and doing lots of inspections for fire alarms and smoke alarms and stuff like that. So we're like, right, my wife must be off. She was off her work or something that one day. And we thought, let's go to Dundee. Let's go and spend the night in Dundee, and did a few places. Thought, this is really interesting. Need to come back here and explore properly. But while we were there in the Queen's Hotel, just up for the Nethergate, the Queen's Hotel, where Churchill did say they get stuff about Churchill in it. No, Churchill was the MP in Dundee. I can bore anybody. The fire alarm went off. We're staying there one night, and the fire alarm went off in the hotel at 3 o'clock in the morning. And by the time we got back down the road the next day, because we ended up with, the sleep was disturbed and all that, and folk are all stirring about in the street and all that. Dundee's interesting, but nowhere's that interesting at kind of 3, 4 o'clock in the morning when you've been in the middle of a good sleep. So, I think we're going to have to go back here and inspect it properly. We got back down the road to Glasgow, and the guy hadn't even inspected the fire alarms. Nobody's inspected the fire alarms in their house, and nobody's inspected them in the Queen's Hotel. And so I got rid of the Celtic. Anyway, so what happens? We were staying in Dundee last week. We just went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night, school holidays and that, so. And the Wednesday night we get there, we go to the arts place, the contemporary arts, Dundee Contemporary Arts Place. The independent art house cinema. that wanker's place on Western Road. No, it's independent art house cinema. That's what I said. Podcast video diaries, great part. A couple of GCSEs. She thinks she's Anne Diamond. Maybe the greatest line of comedy ever written. Anyway, so we're in. It's a bit like that. It's a art house cinema and contemporary theatre space and what have you. You'll know it if you know Dundee at all. Just up one of the wee hills, and we're in there, and just try and get a few drinks and something to eat in a wee restaurant place downstairs. Thought this is absolutely brilliant. I got a pint of Blue Moon, but the staff were lovely. The staff were absolutely fantastic, except the guy who was in charge of the staff, kind of maitre d' or whatever he was, self-appointed. He was horrible. Just so passive-aggressive, just not even passive-aggressive, openly aggressive. I think I just looked so kind of fat and scummy. Folk just think, this and that. If you're not really properly arty, if you're trying to pretend to be arty, you think you confuse it with posh. And I'm the opposite of posh. I don't look in any way. There was boys sitting with the full, the cap, the flat hat and the beards and the man bun and all that. And it's like, no, they want to look arty. They've done this before. My problem. But the guy was horrible. So we thought, well, you've missed out a fortune there, mate. The amount I eat, and just look at me, and you could tell you could have made a fortune there. But I went up to the Giddy Goose, properly student boozer. I think there's a few of them in the Tayside area. But the Giddy Goose is 2 Perth Road, just up at the top of that same hill. Absolutely fantastic. Staff are lovely, totally chilled out. There was folk playing Cluedo in one of the tables. It was really good. PhD students, I would imagine, and just had a burger there. I don't know the name. They've got a special name, but I had the cheeseburger there. First night at the holidays, like to have beers and a burger. I got the Camden Hell's Lager, which isn't 5%. I'm at that stage. I need the lager to be over 5%. Need the beer to be over 5% to be properly tasty, properly interesting to me. I used to hate guys like me. I used to hate the kind of folk music. Yeah, you get the Arnett wool jumper on and what have you, and you get your real ales and all that. But it's just taste. Just the taste buds. I've ruined them with tenants and what have you over the years. So now I really need stuff that's about 5%. But I'd had the Blue Moon, which is nice and strong. And I wasn't really feeling it properly to get a proper bevy on. You're with the wife as well, so it's got to be a bit more. You've got to take it easy. So I got the Hell's Camden Lagers, a couple of them. They were fine, lovely and cold. I think they're tasty. I'm not sure. I've a bit of suspicion it might be Carlsberg tasty, like somebody's put a fag out in it, but it's some sort of drag on it anyways. It makes it a bit more interesting. But the burger in there was sensational. Didn't need anything else. Didn't need anything else. The chips, you got chips with it as well. Food's warm. It's properly, freshly made, warm. Staff just chilled out, really lovely, really reasonable price as well. And then the Thursday night, 'cause you're talking about Dundee. Dundee is gothic. Dundee is an amazing place, the city centre and that, and it's absolutely wild. Same as I'm Drossen. I'm not meaning that in a snobby sort of way. It's just proper guys going about some right cases, going about the place, but it's like the mix of the mercantile and the Maritimes, a bit like Liverpool, they've got all the big buildings down on the front, and they're on them. I can't talk about the game. They're all these built. It's a fantastic place. Big cities these days. Any kind of city at all. Dundee is not a big city. That's the beauty of it. Is they've got the bit down the waterfront that's been. It's a well-known meme. They've got the bit down the waterfront that's been kind of rebuilt, regenerated, and what have you. They've got the V&A, obviously, and no seagull has ever sat on the V&A building, which I find amazing. But I sat there having spent £20 on 2 scones and 2 cappuccinos, and I watched it for 20 minutes. I didn't see a single seagull landing on it, which is quite lots of stuff they've put on the bricks, the kind of slaty type bricks that they've got that make up the shape of the V&A, which is a work of art in itself, but it's actually true. So we did all that kind of stuff. But you're seeing pubs and restaurants here because you're basically there to consume. You're seeing stuff that you're going to do that night. Oh, that looks quite good. But then you're finding out as women, you don't want to be casual about it. You don't want to be too kind of Nazi organised, early bird special type. Especially when you get to my age when that could become an actual thing. You try to kid yourself on that you're casual, chilled out, laid back. We just let's hit a place for a few drinks. But I'm getting more and more like I need to get some food into me, or else I'm just going to fall flat on my back with a few drinks. I need to get the food into me early as well, or else I'm going to get indigestion later on, even at my size. I know it's really terrible. So we ended up, it got so desperate. We went to these pubs now, and it turned out didn't do food. All these places that looked great during the day weren't actually serving food. All the places that were serving food were dead. Really, really strange vibe there on a Thursday night. And it got so desperate, I'm sorry, but we nearly went into Tony Macaroni's. We nearly gave up on life, nearly surrendered, and nearly went to Tony Macaroni's, which is brilliant. Tony Macaroni's does the business. It's bright, it's clean, and it's queued out the door. I'm just like, can I go to Tony Macaroni's? We got to go to something, and we went to Mila's. I don't know if Mila's is a chain or whatever. I don't think so. It seems like a Dundee institution to me. It's up the same street. Tony Macaroni's on the corner, and the corner that goes up the hill towards the other gate. Is it Whitehall Street? Whitehall Street, I think it was. It's this Turkish place, and it was kind of half full when we got there. And looked nice, decor and what have you, and thought, sod it, let's go in, let's try it. I've never tried Turkish stuff before. The staff were fantastic. It was that kind of almost Chinese restaurant thing that I love, but it's like really polite but really efficient. They were super polite. It's a hard thing to do. Not be overbearing, not be officious rather than efficient. But just keep it in. It was great. It was a great vibe. Everybody was wearing glasses. Everybody was wearing glasses in the place. I think maybe it's an age thing, I don't know. But lots of foreign. There was a fellow I think was Turkish sitting next to this table, and there was a Chinese lassie, and I feel like I don't know where he was from. It was all accents and stuff. It was just great. It was fantastic. I had the calamari, and I'm going, calamari. What flash the calamari? I'm having a calamari. What you haven't? I was doing Sexy Beast, the film with Ray Winston and all that, where he goes into a restaurant. And I'm having the calamari. What you have? I'm Lee Marvin and all that. But she's doing the bit. We went to New York years ago, and we went to Coney Island, and there's a great wee place in Coney Island. It's all Frank Sinatra stuff behind the bar and all that. Is it Ruby's? The place was called. And then the staff were saying into his old guys that were serving you the beer. It was brilliant. But there's a boy doing it. There's a boy at the other end of the bar, and he's talking to another boy at the other end of the bar, and they're giving it. Yeah, I just said to him, don't you start mentioning people's names. I know people too. I thought this is the scene for Raging Bull. Raging Bull, when they go the night out, the Copa Club or whatever it is, and then they have the fight and all that, and the bouncers going, don't start mentioning people. It was good. And he said something. He finished off that day by going, "I tell him I sent you." It was to go to a proper wise guy restaurant, obviously, and go and get the calamari. Tell him I recommended the calamari. And I thought, I never had calamari, so I got calamari, and I'm doing that whole bit. I was doing the bit for Sexy Beast, but she's doing the bit for Coney Island. She's like, she doesn't listen. You know what I mean? Just doesn't listen. Some folk you can just bore them to the point where they switch off. So, but we were in the same vibe when it came to the food. I'd never had calamari in my life. Had it. It's no my thing, because it's bordering on the healthy, even though it's a crispy batter on it. But I dipped it in the it was fantastic. My wife, she's an expert in that kind of stuff, like nice food, and she's like, it's great. Aye, it's really nice. So she had a wee bit. The fact I let her taste it tells you that I wasn't really properly into it. But I've had calamari, and that was an achievement. And I got Peroni. The Peroni, that was the strongest thing on the drinks menu. I just got it in the minute my glass touched the table with the last, I'd had the last drink with it. Getting another one, so that's what I call service. Fantastic. So I had the but they were selling this as Effie's. It's like the wee kind of brown bottles, that kind of chubby at the bottom with a long neck, like, and maybe a spider. You're quite liable to the spider crack if they're not done properly. But I think that may actually be plastic. But it looks like an upside down stick grenade of the First World War. Also the kind of thing that the Ottoman Turks would have been tossing about at that point in time. But the kind of, it looks the kind of thing that old sailors would be drinking in the old port of Constantinople. It's a brilliant looking bottle. A kind of pirate would be drinking out a bottle like that, drinking their beer, and they got a nice glass to go with it. Everybody was having that, a wee trendy looking glass. I think it was only 4% though, so I just went for the Peroni because I was needing to get my beer on at that point in time, but I had the kebab after that. Oh my god. The Adna kebab. I could have got shish kebab, but that was too clean for my liking. Get me your version of the doner, basically, Mila's of Dundee. Oh, just sensational. There's a boy behind it. They've got the big glass screen up there, and all the chefs are behind that. You can see them working their magic. They're all wearing the black. This guy had a neckerchief as well, like a pirate would wear, and the hair's all kind of pulled back. And the middle-aged fella, but still got just... I think I just was falling in love with him because he was in charge of the kebabs. He's got the skewers. He's got all the skewers, proper skewers, massive. These things are like swords. Cutlasses, he's putting them on the grill, and then you want a tomato, get the tomato on there, it's black, it's just black in my tomato, why don't you, big man? He looked like two-guy Kilmarnock in full flight. The guy was just glamorous, he was brilliant, he's my hero at that point in time. This kebab just tasted like heaven. It's no fat, it's a jus, it's beautiful lamb, minced lamb, but done to you couldn't slice it, you just had to, the rice and the salad, and I don't know what she had, but I was too busy falling in love with my kebab, and I didn't have any cash. Can I pay by card? Can we put a tip on it? No, I thought you're getting a tip. Right up to the cash line up at, say, the Tesco, where the boys are hanging about wanting spare change and all that, but I just had to get the cash back down to give them the tip, just to get the respect of the maitre d' guy in Milas, because that's one of the most glorious experiences of my... As anybody Celtic fan switched off yet? I mean, that's 22 fucking minutes. Come on, that's got to be. Anyway, the whole point is that come the Friday night, it was like I just wanted a lasagna. I fancied, and we'd seen a few Italian places, and we were try Italian. Let's try Italian in the Friday night, and we're going to go and get lasagna. And so we're going to go to Italian. I'm like, I fancy a lasagna. My wife's like that kind of don't know how to break this to you look. Don't you get lasagna in Italian restaurants anymore? I mean, you do. Eusebi's, we remembered Eusebi's in the West End here, in Woodside Road, Woodland Road in Glasgow. It does everything. It's brilliant, Eusebi's, but it does. Was it yesterday's lasagna? They even call it yesterday's lasagna. No, because it's always better the next day, the lasagna. But they're almost riffing on the fact that lasagna is real old school now. And I thought, what an end to my journey. What an end to my journey. Is Celtic fan switched. What an end to my journey is. Just fast forward to the fact I'm going to talk about the game, which is later on. I just need to get rid of my journey through culture via lasagna, because I tell you before, I worked for ATMA as a travel agency, their head office. I ended up in the property department straight from school. I was like 16. Ended up in the property department, and they were like a nationwide company. That's how they were a nationwide company, because they were total cheapsters. So that their head office just happened to be in Salkits, the town next door to the one I grew up in, Ardrossan. I came out of school just looking to make as much money as possible, go and follow Rangers home and away up to Tannadice and whatever. And and the next thing I'm working with a guy, a public school guy, as a director, the property director, and it was me. Mate, get other guys in later, and an actual qualified architect and what have you. But we were in charge of like, the shop fits and all that for the whole country, and the phone systems. So I'm in like, business meetings. I'm getting wined and dined by all these hardened, phone company salesmen and all that in their, 40s and 50s whose life depends on it. Getting a contract with ATMs to supply all the shops around the country with phones and what have you. I'm like, this is absolutely mental. I didn't know what I was doing, as a just so unpractical. It's unbelievable. But these guys, they take us to local restaurants and what have you to wine and dine us. And we ended up in this place. Was it Bonini's? I can't remember the name of it. It was a B featured heavily in the title, but it's in Saltcoats, in Hamilton Street in Saltcoats. And I was terrified because up until that point in time, I was just a meat and two veg guy. I thought anything that was runny was disgusting. I remember them doing tapioca. Was it semolina? Whatever, at the school dinners at primary school, and I was like, oh, puking up all over the place and having a nervous breakdown. Oh no, I wanted everything to be like meat, two veg, solid ties. Maybe even mashed potatoes was too kind of fluid for my liking when I was a kid. And lasagna, I just thought was one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life. And it's just a whole lot of runny, gooey stuff. I wasn't interested, and I'd maintained that up until this point in time where we get taken out by this company. It was myself and my boss and all that, and he's a cultured man, what have you, and they're all ordering. Oh, it's a proper Italian restaurant. They're getting all sorts of stuff. The only thing in the menu I recognised, this is like we're talking mid-80s here. The only thing in the menu that I recognised that I could pronounce was lasagna, and I'm like, I'll have lasagna, please. Thinking this is horrific. I'm going to have to eat something that I think is disgusting. I'd never tried it before. It just looked rubbish. It looked horrible. And I totally fell in love with it because by that point in time, I was already a drinker. I'd started drinking as soon as I started working, so the taste buds changed and I just fell in love with lasagna, and it just changed my life. That moment in that restaurant in Saltcoats, I was just like, yeah, well, if I can eat lasagna and it's actually brilliant, I can go to university and study English literature. I could do, and I ended up my mate if he co-winning, and he'd prove. I mean, he was doing a degree in English literature and medieval history, and he's for co-winning. So this was proof. This is one of the boys that played football with the A team is football team. I was like, this is proof that this can actually be done. You can change your life. So I started doing night school and what have you. So I could go. I was learning about all sorts of stuff. Carbonara, things like that. And I remember being at Pavarotti's in Cambridge Street, old Italian restaurant in Cambridge Street, just along through. Was it Toby Jug used to be up there? I don't know if it's still there, Pavarotti's. I would doubt it. And with the same mate, Alan, well, they were girlfriends. And that was what a night that was, because that was a night I leaned across to him and I said, I remember, Alan, every man's an island, as Hemingway says. And he's like, no, it's actually no man's an island. And it was John Donne that said it. And it wasn't in a kind of pat. It was like, you're going to go and repeat this to somebody else. I need to let you know. Good winders, man, Alan. So that was it. But I was like, I'm going to get this something else in a minute. How do you pronounce that? It's tagliatelle. I like tagliatelle carbonara. I'll get that then. But obviously I'll need something else. It's not going to be enough, because I was just thinking still in terms of like the ravioli, Heinz ravioli, you get in the wee tins. We're out for a meal here, we're having a few drinks. I'll need something to, but so I've got potatoes as well. Not even Italian, but the actual potatoes, boiled potatoes, and the guys are looking at me, and Alan already corrected me on something, so he wasn't going to be. He's like, okay, right, aye, fine. And I just always remember the Italian waiters like pitting the boiled potatoes round the side of the plate, finding room in the side. They just try to make me feel at ease, even though I was committing an unbelievable faux pas. Even when I saw this stuff come up, I thought that's more than enough food. I really made an ass myself here. Alan, they folk don't usually get potatoes with tagliatelle. It's the first time I'm seeing it, Alex. It's the first time I'm seeing somebody getting boiled potatoes with a tagliatelle. But it took me, and I was telling my wife this is what was the boring journey, and I got to the point. I thought, oh, we've come full circle here. We've come full circle. We're actually at the point where I'm so comfortable ordering lasagna, but Italian restaurants don't do it anymore. I've kind of gone back to square one. Ragu, brisket, pulled brisket. I don't want lasagna. It's now I'm back at square one, where having learned all this and having been through all that in my life, I'm still an idiot. And a boring one as well. And I had to wake my wife up, and eventually we went to this place. What was it? The St Andrews Brewing Company, another chain, I think, from St Andrews. And they get the Yippee IPA, 6%. It's blow your tits. It's beautiful. I got that. And it had fish. This was in the Caird Hall. It's at the other end of the other side of the Caird Hall that faces onto the water. St Andrews Brewing Company, and it's got a lot of golf stuff and rugby stuff and that in it, which I don't usually. But this was a Friday night. And I had fish on Friday, and it's outside there's a plaque saying this was the place that Dundee United was formed as Dundee Hibs, Dundee Hibernian, and I don't believe in all that stuff. I don't believe in all that stuff about, how that's bad luck or whatever. If you're not, I don't really care about religious stuff like that, so that's fine. But you couldn't help noticing the fact I just had fish on a Friday. What's it be? It was beautiful. They had these the barbecue sauce with the chicken. That's half an hour. I've actually done half an hour here. But the whole point there was if you can go through all that and think you've got there, but then you're right back to square one. How you doing? I can't start the pod now. Far too long. What the hell? We'll go for it. We'll go for it. We might as well. You don't want to hear about the Fitbit anyway, so. And if you do want to hear about my reaction to Fitbit, you're not a Rangers supporter, so I want to bore the tits off you anyway. Hopefully you've all switched off by now. Those of you who are here for bogus. I'm only joking. You're more than welcome. Aye, this is your Fat Eck. Rangers at Rugby Park. The same old movie we've seen a million times before. Post-match reaction pod coming to you in association with Jersnet. Check out Jersnet. It's going to be much more interesting, much more concise than this. 9:30 Sunday night, a flagship show. It's going to be Brian hosting, and I think it's Colin and Ben that are on that. So it'll be a cracking show. They'll be getting ripped into it. They'll give you proper analysis of that. Sponsored by them and the Paulaner, the Vice Beer, £1.75 the new in Morrison's. If you don't want to go full, I can't help it. I've just got to that stage. It's not. I'm a rambler. From Manchester way, I get all my troubles, I get my pleasure the hard moorland way. I may be a wage slave on Monday, but I am a free man on Sunday. The whole Ewan McCall experience, if you don't want to go to that extent, with a hazy IPA with citrus infusion, all that kind of wank, just get yourself a Weiss beer, a nice wheat beer, whatever you want to call it. It's £1.75 and it's quite cheap, just now be offer on in Morrison's, and I've been tanking into them to keep me going. My name's Alec Anderson. My eyes are getting weary. My back is getting tight. I'm sitting here in traffic on a Queensborough Bridge tonight, but I don't care because all I want to do is cash my check and drive on home to you, baby. All my life I will be driving home to you. I'm talking to you after Rangers lost by 1-0 against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park. You've seen the game before. I don't know if you've been supporting Rangers at any point over the last 10 years. You've seen the game. You've seen how it's at Rugby Park. It's Kilmarnock at Rugby Park. So it's just we've got all the ball but none of the threat. That's pretty much how it went. So the question now is, should we sack the manager? That seems to be the question for a lot of people. I don't think we should at this point in time, but he's not doing a lot to help his case or mine in defending him. I can very much see why people think he should be sacked. There's not a lot happening there today at all. We have scored one away goal domestically this season. It's quite mental. We've scored 3 in Europe. We've only played 2 games in Europe, so we scored 1 against Dynamo Kiev in Poland, and we've scored 2 against Malmo in Malmo. So look out, Olympiacos, Manchester United, and OGC Nice. Yous are getting it, but Aberdeen and Pataudry in 10 days' time, or whatever. No, yous only getting it. It's 364 days. I don't know, leap years, whatever. I don't know. It's basically minus 1 day to a year since Philip Clement's first game in charge of Rangers when we beat Hibs by 4-0 at Ibrox. And we've gone right backwards. How can he take us from challenging for the title in February and March of this year to being as pish poor as we were today? For me, it's the change in play, the massive clear out of players. It's a reset. We should look at what he did last season, the highlights of last season, as kind of proving that he is a decent manager. He does know what he's doing. And we should look at the massive turnover of players, which we wanted, which we were demanding, as being a reason. That and, not having our own stadium for the first couple of months of the season, things like that. The fact that there is no board, there's no directors working at the club, things like that are not making his life any easier. Automatisms. He still do the automatisms. After the St Johnstone game, we beat them 2-0 a couple of weeks ago on the Sunday night. I did a wee kind of, because we're going into international break. We are appalling after breaks. Other clubs benefit from breaks. Rangers don't do well after breaks. Other clubs do, especially clubs like Kilmarnock, who've had a terrible start to their season because of Europe. It's terrible. Kilmarnock haven't taken the lead against anybody domestically this season until the 86th minute of that game against us today. Jesus. But teams like that do well after an international break. They've had 2 weeks off, they've had time to regroup. Europe was killing Kilmarnock, they're not used to it. We are, supposedly. But yeah, we. It was awful today. I'm coming back down from Dundee yesterday, and all the, we checked out the hotel 11 o'clock, and you're just driving down the road and thinking, oh, this traffic. It's Aberdeen and Celtic buses passing us down the A9 and what have you, on their way down to Glasgow, and basically holding up the traffic. Celtic fans stopping just before that, is it Broxburn, that roundabout, the Broxton roundabout just outside Perth. Guys nipping out their motor, nipping out their mate's motor, peeing in the middle of the road, while the motor drives on, and then because it's in a traffic jam, they could then run down the side of the road and even get behind a bush and just pish in the middle of the road. That's basically what they've done to Rangers today. Just kind of pished on it, haven't they, over this weekend? When Celtic and I remember yesterday thinking, I don't know that I'm not instinctively, I'm wanting Aberdeen to win that game. It's just because you don't like Celtic or Aberdeen. You're not really hoping that anything good happens for either of them. It's a difficult thing to muster as a Rangers supporter instinctively. But when I found out later on, like last night, that they'd drawn 2 each, and I found out that Celtic had thrown away a 2-goal lead, I wasn't delighted. I wasn't thinking, yeah, that shows Celtic a crapper. I was just thinking, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem. I think we needed Celtic to beat up. My starting point on this season is that this is a season to reset. Everything that's been coming from the board, or not coming from the board as the case may be, the lack of noise from the board, but what they have said, even back to John Bennett when he had a wee statement to make about the fact that we weren't at Hampden and things weren't, the fact that we weren't at Ibrox, we're stuck at Hampden and things weren't going according to plan. And what the manager's been saying, everything has been said. This is going to be a reset. This season we just don't have the amount of players that we need through the door. Everything's going wrong, so the best we can hope for is that we can at least finish a decent second and see signs that the team are going forward. Yeah. The problem for us now is Aberdeen, because Aberdeen are making it that I can't even sell you a story that if we finish second this season, even if it's a wee bit behind Celtic, if we were 6 points just behind Celtic today, that would be okay. But we're only a point in front of Dundee United, 3 points in front of Motherwell, fourth and fifth. Aberdeen are 6 points in front of us as well. I get the whole thing of it. They slipped up yesterday. Celtic supposedly we're supposed to be looking at. And this team's been unable to take advantage. I hear a lot of stuff about mindset and what have you, and I think it's a bit bogus just now. It's just about ability at this point in time for a team that's completely rebuilt. So many new players. For me, it was more about how are Rangers. Rangers have to look after themselves at this point in time under Clement, and they didn't today. These were the games that are going to be worrying. Are we going to be threatened for second place? And we're being more than threatened just now. Aberdeen are 6 points ahead of us in second place. That was the thing for me. I think I actually wanted Celtic to win yesterday because of who they were playing. So we could kind of bring Aberdeen back into our orbit, and I was not sure at all that we were going to win this game today. Because I knew Kilmarnock had a rest, had a terrible start to the season, but they'd started to bring it round with a win at Dundee. A kind of comeback win. I think one of the players was talking about that post-match today. And I know McInnes is a decent manager, and they would have loved this scenario today with Rangers coming to town. We had a few players away in international duty, not enough to make us as bad as we were today, but it's a storm. The pitch is soaking. The Kilmarnock pitch is like a mattress has been left out for a century in the rain, but instantly hardens on contact with sunshine. And I know that you can't blame conditions. It's the same for both teams, but Kilmarnock know that pitch and those conditions much better than us. The wind was bad today. I saw Robbie McCrory wearing the traditional Rangers goalkeeper's colours, and that was confusing. And then we were shooting towards, is it the Chadwick end or is the away end, the Moffat end? It used to both be away ends, remember? But we're shooting towards the Rangers supporters in the first half. The referees wearing the same jersey as same colour jersey as Jack Butland. It was a kind of confused. This isn't right. This isn't. It's the kind of discomfort you get at Rugby Park. The kind of discomfort they specialise in. Chris Boyd screaming at the end of the game about how we didn't dominate. Rangers didn't dominate that game today. We had 69% possession. We do dominate. We always dominate at Rugby Park, but we never threaten. That's the problem. Kilmarnock are the team that always threaten. We dominate possession of the ball without doing anything with it. And Kilmarnock are always emboldened. Any team we play that isn't Celtic, they're in that scenario where we have a lot of the ball, but we aren't scoring. They get more encouraged as the game goes on because it's already a win for them. A draw with Rangers is a win for them. So they're getting more and more encouraged as the game goes on and we don't score. Again, they're not tiring. They are physically tired, but mentally they're not. They're getting more positive, whereas we're starting to give up hope, it would seem. I think we have scored this one away goal, and it was very early on against Dundee United up at Tannadice, and I think once it got past the first kind of 20 minutes today, it wasn't happening, and we didn't really do a lot. We pick up maybe the 70-minute mark, a couple of wee incidents from which we should have scored or looked like we might score. It went a bit back and forth for a second or two. A football match almost broke out, but by and large we kind of played into Kilmarnock's hands, and this is something they've done under Steve Clarke. They've done it under Derek McInnes for a few years now. We've seen this game. I think we've seen this game since Walter Smith won the league. Walter Smith's first game as a professional footballer, playing for a senior team. He made his debut for Dundee United as a player at Rugby Park, Kilmarnock, and Dundee United lost 4-0. And his last game as a manager, as a football manager, was a 4-goal victory at Rugby Park when he was manager of Rangers, and he's bringing us the league title. And Kevin Thompson talks about the angriest he ever saw Walter Smith was at half-time in that game. We're 3-0 up after like 7 and a bit minutes in that game. And he said the angriest he ever saw Walter Smith was at half-time in that game. Walter's obviously nervous that the Rangers take their foot off the gas and throw away the league in the second half. And it's his last moment in management. So he was breaking, he was pounding a coat hanger, a wooden coat hanger, and he was just breaking the thing. He was pounding it off a chair or something, saying, "Get the ball forward. Keep getting the ball forward. Not just keep," because that's how we scored the 3 goals in the first 7 minutes. Going through the middle though. There's a lot involved going through the middle in those goals. The Steve Davis flick on Steve Davis up in the commentary gantry today. And that's what Rangers seem to be wanting to do. We seem to want to get the ball forward, but not through the middle. It's down the wings. This idea, people with another criticism today, I don't see any clear identity. I don't see any clear identity for this Rangers team. I do. They seem to, let's get down the wings. Let's get it down the wings and let's make sure the centre of the park is completely vacant. Like from the halfway line to the opposition goal, in the opposition half of the park, there's like a corridor. If you take it from the 2 posts, from a goal's width corridor from the goal itself right down to the centre circle, Rangers seem to want to either knock the ball right over the top of that, or get it away from that corridor and get it out to the wings all the time. Barron and Diamandi are sitting midfielders, are just, they're busybodies. They're bags of energy, bags of pace, and they just want to rapidly get the ball moved away from the sitting midfield area as quickly as possible, get it out to the wings. I've got Tavernier and Cherny, wee 1-2s, wee overlaps every now and then. I think the idea is that you've got Hefty at fullback on the left-hand side, and Bajrami has been playing on the left-hand side, non-existent today, Bajrami. And you've got them doing wee 1-2s as well, wee overlaps and things like that, and it's been good at times. It's been reasonably entertaining in some games that they've played in, but by and large, it's just, the idea is that I think the more tucked in wide men of the 3 in the 4-2-3-1, and the more tucked in fullbacks are lending presence to the middle of the pitch. That because we don't have a 6, we can't really hold the ball there. But it's like a hot potato with Barron and Diamandi, and they're just getting out to those wings. That's where we get our 69% possession in a game like this, where it looks like we've never really threatened. And we then have the one and only Cyril Dessers going through the middle, number 9, our centre forward, and he's just, you could see the whole thing that if he had pace, we'd be 4-0 up in the first 15 minutes, because we hit the byline. If he pulled the ball back, but Rami pulls the ball back to him, there's a ball went over the top, but it just come off the end of his toe. He just wasn't quick enough to get onto it. It was ruled offside at the time, but VAR would have shown that it wasn't. Replay showed he wasn't offside. He was just an inch out all the time, or he wasn't moving for the ball fast enough. He didn't have the pace to get there in time. And this is why we need Dessers, because we've only got Dessers, who's no good enough. We need somebody with Dessers' character to keep coming back and giving us some sort of shape. But the idea is that Dessers is so slow that he's now ruining the shape. But it's I think the identity's there. I think the problem is identity shit. The identity is we're going to work the ball up the wings. The possession is coming from the centre halves, so they're knocking it back and forth. Lateral balls could be a problem, as we saw from Conor Barron when he panicked too much, moved the ball too quickly in that game against Leon. It's just get it out wide, and hopefully, I think the idea is we're going to cross it into the box or pull it back from the byline, and somebody will be there to put it in. Tom Lawrence, who's playing at 10, hardly involved today, and nearly get himself sent off because he was so desperate, so angry, I think, with his inability to get involved in the game. And it's something we're seeing a lot from the 10 position. Bajrami get tried out there against St Johnstone, that 2-0 win, and didn't really excel, although obviously he did enough. But I don't know. I think it's tit waggling time, folks. It's everybody who's known. I knew. And I don't mean women. It's blokes. That kind of you've got to get nipples out there, and you just got to get You've got to do that one phrase catch-all condemnation that will solve all problems. It's that. See you next Tuesday. He's the problem. Get him to F you. Get him to France, and it'll be fine. And you've got to end up with a aye and waggle the boobs a bit just to like staunch. I know. There's a lot of that going about just now, and I think it's a multifaceted problem that's beyond that. The manager, his problem was always going to be, as I was saying after the post-match reaction to the St Johnstone game, the last video I did, towards the end of that video, just kind of assessing how Clermont was getting on. For me, it's like there's going to be a rebuild. There has to be a rebuild. We've changed so many. We wanted rid of all these players. We wanted rid of all these losers. It's only Tab that's still there. I don't get the hysteria about Hadji. I think that's desperation. About Hadji coming back. Why don't we just get rid of him as well? I know why we can't now because our squad's so light. But the fan reaction towards Hadji, I think, is more it's a neurosis apart from anything else. It's just a reaction to how bad things are in terms of the lightness of the squad. The manager has been saying you'll see the best of us October, November, so he's starting to ruin that. He's put himself under pressure with that. But he's also saying he needs 2 or 3 more transfer windows. And I think that's patently obvious. He's certainly getting a template down there for the style, for how he wants the ball moved. He just wants the ball forward. He wants it vertical passes as quickly as possible. It's not happening. It's not. They're happening, but they're to no effect. So he's got the plan. He's got the game plan. He just doesn't have anything like the players to make it work. I feel as if I felt as if because it's obvious that it will need time to for the manager to make us the kind of team we should be, then it should be a season where we don't achieve, where there will be setbacks, we don't play great football. Some of the games that we win away a bit of a bore, and that's certainly been happening. The problem is always going to be games like this. Kilmarnock away, Aberdeen away. This is before Aberdeen came in with the Jimmy Thelen, this fella that they've got from Sweden. He's working miracles up there. Although I think Aberdeen showed last season that when they get rid of by Robson, and then it had to be kind of various moments, temporary managers and what have you, they still managed to kick on, and they weren't going to get relegated. They kind of saved themselves and did okay under caretaker managers in a way that indicated there's more depth of quality there. I know he's changed a hell of a lot of players up there, but I think they're doing okay, but they've got a manager that's taken it to the nth degree there, and it starts this problem where Rangers supporters will be saying, if the Aberdeen can do that, they can get in a guy who overnight is winning them. Just basically is unbeaten. Is winning them all their games up until they go to Parkhead, and there they come back from 2-0 down to draw 2 each. How come we can't? I think stuff like that as well when it comes to, I'm watching Hearts are getting involved with Tony Bloom, the fella that's in charge of Brighton and is involved with Union St Gilloise and all his algorithms and what have you. And I'm thinking, why can't we do something like that as well? Because we're too big. I'm talking about Walter Smith being there. I'm talking about being in Dundee. I saw Dundee United for the first time, I think, live in basically 42 years and about 11 days ago. It was 9th October 1982 when I went to Rugby Park, Kilmarnock. I'm from Ardrossan, stayed in Ardrossan. I was born in Ardrossan, from North Ayrshire, as I say, and used to be a bus at the end of my street. We would just go, get the bus at the end of my street that just went to Kilmarnock. A service bus, get a return to Kilmarnock, £1 or something as a kid, and it just basically take you to the top of the road for Rugby Park, and you could just end of the game up and you went. So my Rangers Kilmarnock get promoted, they come back up in the top flight for 82-83 season, I think it was, And by that point, I'm 13. My pals from school and that were all Rangers supporters from North Ayrshire. My dad's a Kilmarnock supporter. His dad was a Kilmarnock supporter. We're from North Ayrshire, but it's mostly Rangers Celtic in North Ayrshire, like so many places in Scotland. So I'm getting, well, because of guys like me, because my dad wasn't going to put me through the same thing with Kilmarnock. I was born in 1969. Kilmarnock had won the league more recently than Rangers at that point in time, so hardly a bandwagon jumper, hardly a glory hunter. But I would, at that point in time, it was like, so my mates and I, we went to see Kilmarnock got Rangers in the League Cup sections at that point, so we played them in September at Rugby Park that season, and I went along with my pals and all that, and Rangers scored 6 goals or something. It was great, but it was also a wee test, and it meant I knew I'd been to Rugby Park myself. So I think my mum, I was still at this age where mum and dad were like, especially supporting Rangers. I think Rangers were playing Morton that day at Capello. That was a lot harder to get to from Ardrossan. That was like, I just wanted to go to a football match. I was just starting to get taken maybe once or twice a season by my uncle and that, and my dad to the football. But this was, I thought, I want to go to a game on my own. And it was Kilmarnock, but at home at Dundee United. There was less than 3,000 folk there. I was at Rugby Park, the terrace, and I just got the bus to the end of the street. I went just to watch a football match, to go to a big football match. And I remember Kilmarnock were winning 1-0 till late on, and it was an equaliser from Ralph Milne. And Ralph Milne scored a penalty equaliser for Dundee United. And at the end of that same season, Ralph Milne scored a penalty against Dundee, which was part of Dundee United winning the league title, being champions of Scotland on the last day of the season with Walter Smith as assistant manager. Walter Smith, whose last game as a Dundee United player after he beaten Dumbarton and come back to United as a player. His last game, he was subbed off a League Cup game against Motherwell. He was subbed off for Ralph Milne. And we looked at getting, when we sacked John Gregg, we looked at getting Jim McLean. We got Jim McLean and interviewed him to bring him, as manager to Ibrox, and he didn't want to come. And I don't think it works. I just don't think it works. Alec Ferguson didn't want to come to. He went to Manchester United, who maybe some people would say they're bigger than Rangers. I don't know, but he went to Manchester United eventually from Aberdeen. But he wasn't want to go to Rangers either. Derek McInnes didn't want to go to Rangers because there's certain managers who need everything to be in place before they take the chance, and also certain things that happen that let them excel with a smaller club that there's not going to happen for them at Ibrox. That's why I need Steven Gerrard, Graham Souness, no managerial experience, but the personality that's ready to take it on. So it's no a case of we should have got Jimmy Thelen from Elfsborg, who were a point away from winning the Swedish title against Malmo. I think it was just last season. It's more a case of we need to. I think just now you definitely give Philip Clement at least to the end of the month. The game of the day, right? I better talk about the game. What's that, Chris? 52 minutes. Sorry, folks. We started. Jack Butland in goals. We had Tav at right back, Tav at full back. A lot of people not happy with that. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but anyway, we'll not get into that. Tav at right back. We had Hefty at left back. You've got Proper and John Suter, fresh from controlling Ronaldo, at centre half, and we've got the sitting two of Diamandi and Barron wide left. It's Bajrami because we've got Tom Lawrence at number 10. We've got Cherny wide right, and it's Cyril Dessers up front. And the first 50 minutes, I say, we created few wee chances. We got in the wings and pulling the ball across or knocking it over the top. Very, very direct. Get it effing forward, as I'm always saying. It seems to be the mantra from our manager, and push up behind the ball, to try and support for secondary balls and what have you. It's very direct, a very basic football. And I say, if Cyril Dessers wasn't any way quicker, we might have got something out of it, but it just wasn't happening at all. Kilmarnock are having their moments. They had the ball in the back of the net at one point. It's a free kick in the box, but the fella was just offside, headed it into the back of the net. It was an amazing save from Jack Butland early doors after he'd kind of flapped at another ball. I'm not convinced about Jack Butland all the time, but he pulled off a decent save there. Just that whole thing where Kilmarnock are sitting in and they're looking more dangerous because they're used to sitting and they know how to play us in these games. They've been doing it to us for years. It's always a nightmare down here. Even when we won there during 55 season, we only had one game there. It was a bad season for Kilmarnock. We only won 1-0. I remember Ryan Jack was playing like quarterback that day. He quarterbacked that game. It was raining as well. It was a Sunday. It was miserable. It was a really, really tense game. A big Cedric Itten playing wide on the right hand side. I think we'd been playing in the wing, the big gangly centre forward. We had to go to all sorts of exertions and extortions and exhaustions to find a way to beat Kilmarnock that day, but we did. It was painful. It was horrible. So that's what Kilmarnock do at Rugby Park. They make it painful. They make it horrible, as is their right. But we just, it wasn't very convincing. God, I don't know what way the wind's working. I don't know if we won the toss or lost the toss, whatever. But I think we come out in the second half and did a bit better to start with initially because I think maybe we had the wind behind us. But you play into a smattering of fans, Kilmarnock fans, in that Chadwick stand. Is that the Moffat stand? I can't remember. That end stand anyway. It just seemed, the whole thing just seemed weird, and we. Dessers had a kind of a spin and a shot on goal that just seemed suddenly electric. Goalkeeper gets down and turns it around the post. Tav has a corner that he's trying to. He maybe knows Robbie McCrory from training at Rangers. He's trying to beat Robbie McCrory. He's basically trying to score for the corner. Nearly did. But Cyril Dessers, just after his impressive turn and shot on goal, I don't know if he can be blamed for this. It's one of those ones that's when he's on a bad run, and he's starting to be on a bad run now. That's maybe 5 games now without a goal. It's the ball kind of bounces up awkwardly towards the back post area, and he's got to get the leg up really high, but nevertheless he's faced with what is essentially an almost open goal, and he pulls it back kind of slightly across the goal, which he would have to anyway to put it in, but it comes back off the crossbar and away, and it looks, if you want to be critical, it looks like a really bad miss. Yeah, I can't really remember what happened, but you could see it was just Robin Proper he gets injured maybe about an hour in, and he plays on and gets more injured, and he does so as he fouls a guy who's going to break through on goal, and Kilmarnock just looked like they would just catch us out if we weren't careful at the back, and they would catch us out quite easily. They're making us look a bit shaky at the back, and eventually we started the Balogun has to come on at that point for Robin Proper at centre half. I hope Proper's okay. He's one of the guys who's got a good cross in him. He's able to play the ball quite cultured out from the back. Leon Balogun's not bad either, but obviously he's getting on in years. But Leon comes on, and we also brought on Nico Raskin at that point, who might have felt a bit aggrieved to be left out after what I thought was a man of the match performance against St Johnstone in our last outing. But he comes on for Connor Barron. And nothing really particularly improves. I think we had 3 shots on target the entire game, although I think we made maybe 13 shots at goal as opposed to Kilmarnock's 10. But for the fact that we had twice as much possession as them, more than twice as much possession, it's just no good enough. And the execution was absolutely appalling. It's a strange goal. It was the most typical and yet the most predictable type of goal that we were going to lose. It was going to be part car crash, part farce, part comedy, and it was horrendous. An absolute atrocious goal, an absolute farcical goal to lose, and yet you could see it coming after about 20 minutes of this game today. I would say we should have had a shy. VAR. We should have. Don't bring in. I hate VAR, except let's give it more power. We should have had a shy, but the shy was given to Kilmarnock. But Kilmarnock had a substitution in between times, so it's almost like the referee got a chance to forget. And then it's just a bounce. It's all about the pitch. It's all about the bounce. It's all about us not judging the bounce of the ball. It's bouncing about all over the place. Hefty can't quite clear it. Kilmarnock are throwing it forward, nudging it forward, heading it forward. Hefty kind of miss kicks completely, but then has to turn around and he catches it properly the next time. But he's panicking because he's missed it first time, so he's no lumping it forward. Any accuracy, Kilmarnock fire it straight back. It seems to be, it gets flicked on by somebody who's got their back to goal, just turns and hooks it, and next thing, and this whole, why do we keep playing Tav? He's a terrible defender. Well, Casson Weirjo had come on by this point, and he's playing it right back, and Tav is pushed up to fill the space left by Cherny, who's also gone off. We're bringing on Igaman by this point as well, and it's just we've got Lawrence has gone off. He nearly gets sent off. Probably should have been sent off. He was proper angry at the way things were going, and Kilmarnock's niggling tactics were starting to get to him. And who else come on? Somebody else had come on as well. We made 5 substitutions anyway. Kieran Dowell was come on for Tom Lawrence, but the ball goes forward, it bounces forward, and it would have been offside, but Casson Weirjo was too late coming out. he's looking at the man closest to him rather than the guy who's actually going after the ball, who was the pirate-sounding named Marley Watkins, a man who scored for Inverness Cali in Scottish Cup final almost 10 years ago. He gets the ball, he kind of nudges John Souttar off his strides, which is bad for Big John after having a great man in the match against Portugal midweek. And he then sclaffs the ball, and it also hits off Souttar and rolls into the net with Jack Butland looking kind of all at sea to keep up the nautical stuff. And just an awful, awful goal. This was like 4 minutes to go. And after that, I think Kieran Dowell has the best moment of skill for any Rangers player in the game. Does a wee double pirouette and then lofts a beautiful ball over the top, which Igaman runs onto and just, catches it first time, has to try and steer it to the far post, goes outside the far post and out for a by kick, and that kind of summed it up. Really, a bit huffing and puffing, but not just Rangers, just generally terrible. And we are into sack the manager territory. It's that time of year, isn't it? It's not quite Halloween. It is Rangers sacking the manager time. We've done it for the last 3 years in the bounce. We've lost our manager for the last 3 years in the bounce. Of course, Stephen Gerrard been poached by Aston Villa. So it's just about, that's what you want to do. Is this what you want to do? Do you want to sack the manager? I think you definitely. I'm not up for it just now. I think we need to try and see this out. Try and give the guy a chance. At least even for the most knee-jerk of us, surely you're giving them to the end of the month. We've got Stoy Bucharest on Thursday nights. We've got St Mirren at home on Sunday, and then it's Aberdeen at Pittodrie. The only thing for me is Aberdeen. If you're an Aberdeen fan of any kind of years, you're thinking, I bet they bastards beat us at Pittodrie. I bet our first loss of the season is Rangers at Pittodrie. It wouldn't surprise me if it was. I'm not too scared about going to Pittodrie, because if we did lose to Aberdeen at Pittodrie, that would be Aberdeen for the second year in the trot, putting our manager out of a job. It would probably, the idea that we should let this manager rebuild, one that I constantly espouse, and that the nature of rebuilding almost demands that you will perform badly, that there will be setbacks. That for me, it was just all about, we're not going to win the league. As long as we're finishing second, I did specify that we need to be finishing second in everything, which is a horrible thing to say. It's a terrible ambition. But just for this season, and you need to see that something's happening with the team in general. The idea that we're going to finish third, though, or we're going to finish any lower than second, is just unconscionable. But things are so bad in the boardroom that I don't know. I think we need to get that sorted out before we can replace a manager who mentioned at the press conference on Friday there, his pre-match presser on Friday. He was asked about certain, I can't remember what it was, about certain players. I think it was about young players. But he responded with the line about that could maybe work at other clubs, or you're allowed to do. He was talking about the development, the very thing I'm talking about just now, about developing the team, about the team being allowed to improve slowly. He said, this team, you need to win every week, you need to win every game, so you don't get the chance to patiently bring on young players or new styles of play or whatever. He gets it. He does understand what's required of him. But I just think if we were to finish third, if Rangers finish any lower than second, basically, it'll look like we're finishing any lower than second, because we are now 6 points off Aberdeen. For example, if Aberdeen were to beat us, were to maintain their current run, and they were to beat us at Pittodrie on the 30th of this month, 10 days from now, and we go 9 points behind them, that's I don't know. We're not going to be sitting about going, well, fair play to Aberdeen. This guy, Jimmy Thellin's a bit of a miracle worker. What a great manager. We need to do something. We need to react somehow. It's kind of untenable for the manager. But I similarly can't imagine, when we don't have money to back Clermont, who I think most of us were quite happy to back at the beginning of the season, I can't see how a new manager is going to solve the problem just now. I think keeping a manager for more than a year might be the best answer. But as I say, as usual, with Rangers, it's not, even when you decide, okay, I can accept second place this season, and I have decided that, you haven't perhaps, even when you decide that, it starts to look like we're going to finish third. So something's got to happen here, folks, and I'm going to go and try and just get my head around this, because it's my first night I've been sober for about 5 nights, and Rangers really haven't made that any easier on me. So I'll go away and have a wee glass of wine or something with a microwave lasagna. that I've had stored, and I'll come back before the Stoy Bucharest game, and we can have a wee chat about this, and I'll maybe make a bit more sense. Thanks, folks. Talk to you soon.